Electric cars are being announced, shown off, and touted by many companies, but only a few are truly delivering cars that you can get. There are two main routes we see. The first are established car companies finally making truly compelling electric vehicles with reasonable ranges. This has in large part come in response to the fact that the other route for electric cars is startups. There are many electric startups not affiliated with any established brands and shipping their first electric cars. Tesla is the main one, and they have pushed a lot of people to go electric, but has now been established for some time. This past year, however, we have seen vehicles shipped from two new very compelling electric startups, Rivian and Lucid. Each brand is shipping vehicles with specific draws, and today we're reviewing the longest range electric vehicle ever shipped, the Lucid Air. We're going to talk through the vehicle, talk about the main things it includes, how its luxury features make it stand out, and the overall good and bad, so let's get into it. And a special thanks to Charity Stars for sponsoring this video. Go to charitystars.com/Ryan Shaw to enter for your chance to win a 2022 Tesla Model S Plaid. This is the Lucid Air. It's a sedan very similarly sized to the Tesla Model S, and this particular model is the Dream Edition, the first Lucid has shipped. Big thanks to John Rettinger for letting me check out his brand new Lucid Air Dream performance. It comes in at a whopping $169,000. It's definitely a premium vehicle, but it touts 1,111 horsepower and a range of 471 miles. The range version can get up to 520 miles, and both of those ranges beat any electric car shipped by a lot. From the outside, the Lucid Air has a very unique design, and I will note that this just got back from a road trip, so it is a little dirty. In some ways, it looks like vehicles we're used to seeing, but it clearly stands out in other ways. They sell it with a two-toned color, no matter which option you choose, separating the pillars and roof from the body of the vehicle. They also do the same with the seats in the car. From the front, I really like the look, and the headlights and light bar across the front look pretty awesome. The side view is very specific with flush door handles, and you can see the standard 4 doors. Those doors have standard windows, but one cool built-in feature is the sunshades. You can control these from the front and rear screens or from the window buttons. There's also a rear window sunshade. Then the main thing you'll notice from there is how large the trunk is. Rather than a hatchback trunk, the Lucid Air has a standard separated trunk, but it's anything but standard in how it functions. It's one of the largest openings I've ever seen for a trunk that isn't a hatchback, and it really makes it feel spacious. It has a very unique look, which some love and others hate. There's a lot of storage space back there, 2 side cubbies, and an under storage compartment. Lucid has a very clear focus on space in this car, and you can really feel it in this trunk. If you need a pass-through, there is a pass-through to the middle seats that's very small, or you can fold those seats down for longer cargo. To continue talking about storage, the front trunk on the Lucid Air is also very large. Larger than most front trunks you see, and one benefit here is that it is powered. It opens and closes electronically, and to me, that's how it should be going forward with electric cars. Tesla doesn't ship any cars with a powered front trunk, and I think it's a missed opportunity that would make people utilize the front trunk much more. If I owned this Lucid, it would probably be my primary trunk space, since it's so easily accessible. The Lucid Air also features a wide range of cameras along the outside of the car. There are a few on the pillars of the car, a few on the mirrors, and more. These all contribute to Lucid's Dream Drive system, which is their own self-driving system that right now doesn't have as much function and really just works like a fancy cruise control, but it won't steer for you, at least in my experience. That is something that Lucid plans to improve in the future with over-the-air software updates. But these cameras do contribute to the overhead visualization that is very easy to get used to and very nice to have. This is something I would love to see in most cars. Inside, the Lucid Air is very spacious. The rear seats have much more room than the average car its size, and up front there is plenty of room as well. Once you're up front though, you'll notice the Lucid's incredibly distinct and premium interior. The seats have a variety of adjustments for every possible way you can adjust a seat. Those seats also have massage functions. There's storage in the center console, and then even more right behind that bottom screen, which you can swipe away and back down when you want to access that space. Up front, the Lucid really features 2 main screens, but it's divided such that it feels like 4. There's the main center display, which interacts with the right third of the top display. Then there's the instrument cluster display behind the wheel, and the left third of the top display gives you certain touch controls all the time. Overall, when driving, it looks very nice, but software-wise, it could use some work. For as nice as the interior feels, the software can lag a bit, and the different shapes of the screens actually take some getting used to. You interact with the top and bottom screens quite a bit, and it definitely takes getting used to, as I said. It's also very nice though. Instead of handling everything on screen, the Lucid Air blends on-screen controls with physical controls. There are scroll wheels on the wheel, like most cars have, but there are a few buttons there too, normal drive stocks, normal air vents, volume controls above the screen, and climate controls above there. The interesting thing here is how many controls actually double up. They're available in software if you prefer, or you can use the physical control. The biggest thing to notice as the driver as well is how extensive the windshield is. The Lucid Air's windshield comes up far higher than the typical vehicle and gives a really great panoramic open view. The sun visors do block this view though, and feel a bit like a pillar is there anyway, but they can be moved for a clearer view. In the rear, there's also a rear screen, but this is mainly just for controls in the back. You are not going to be playing media or anything on this screen. In some ways, the overall interior of the Lucid immediately feels nicer than a Tesla or nicer than most electric cars, and in other ways, it feels pretty similar. There's a ton of features of this car to get into and lots of specifics, but for now, let's take it for a drive and walk through the screens. In theory, this car should be about as fast as a Plaid Model S, so let's check it out. This is the inside of the Lucid Air. It's a really impressive, really luxurious feeling electric vehicle, and a lot of it feels super great. Some of the stuff on screen I have noticed so far can be a bit laggy, but I will show you how everything interacts. And really, you kind of have 4 screens. It's like this one main one with 3 different parts, and then this bottom one. So that very left screen has some controls that are just up there all the time. You can't change that. Then you have your instrument cluster display, and then you have this display which you can interact with for a few specific things. You can have just your home screen with basic navigation to where you want to go, and then it shows you Spotify right here or whatever your music is. Then you can launch maps, and this is one of the first areas where I notice it's a little slow. This is launching maps right now, which will interact on both screens, and now it has launched. And just moving around on screen isn't as snappy as it would be in a Tesla. So right now I'm doing a route. We're in Orange County and routing to Culver City. And it's really cool. You can see you're getting your step-by-step turn directions up here. And then down here, it's more of an overview and all of your route steps. So you can see a lot of things and a lot of information that you normally would have to click into different menus. It's all right here in front of you, which is very nice. But then if you just want it on the top screen, again, you can just drag it up or drag this down. It's really cool how the 2 screens interact like that, but in practice, I'm not sure how actually very useful it is. Another cool thing about this bottom screen is that you can press like this, and it will actually just disappear, and you have some storage right here. So now let's go into music. I haven't launched music, I don't believe, since I got in the car this time, so I want to see how long it takes. Launching music right here, that was very quick. And this is very nice to have just your normal controls right up here, and then you can kind of select from Spotify down here. So I can click into this playlist, but again, you can swipe this up to the top screen, and then you have your options for these playlists here. And then if you want it back down on the lower screen, drag it down and there it is. On the bottom screen here, there are a ton of different controls. You have openings, which is the charge port, the front trunk, rear trunk, as well as the rear sunshade, which is something that's very nice. The seats have all sorts of positionings and customizations that you can do. You can do position, height, recline, cushion tilt, lumbar support, backrest, width, thigh support, and headrest. This is way more than you would have with a Tesla, which just has the normal controls on the side, which this does have if you prefer to just use those, but you can get a lot more dialed in on screen. You can also use the chairs as a massager. There are 5 different massage settings, and I will say it's actually pretty nice. I have it on right now. I can start the massage, and you can turn up the intensity. You can do 5 different massages. Right now it's kind of vibrating my back and stretching. It's a 20-minute massage. Definitely one of those things that takes this to the next level and makes it feel super premium. You also have themes on screen, which it's really bright out, so you can't totally see, but basically the different themes, escape, space, solitude, serene, wonder, and inspire, use all of the interior lights and the screens, and they kind of add a certain flair to them. So you can see each time I'm pressing one that these front screens are changing what is in the background of each item, and it's also doing something with the strip up here and the ambient lights in the car. You just can't really see it right now in the sun. Charging right now, we're below half, and it is showing 200 miles of range, demonstrating how impressive the range is in this car. This is the Lucid Air Dream Edition, which is very performance focused, but also has an incredible range. But if you get the top range in the Lucid Air, it's a 520 mile range, which is definitely the longest range electric vehicle that is shipped yet, beating Tesla by almost 120 miles. They have different priorities as far as long ranges, but it's very impressive, and you wouldn't have to charge for a couple days, or you could make incredibly long road trips in this car without having to stop to charge. So for driving settings, we have our normal steering wheel adjustments, which you actually completely adjust on screen, instead of tapping on screen and then adjusting something with a button on the steering wheel, and you can adjust your mirrors here. You can fold the mirrors, open the trunk, all that stuff. Open the glove box, change brightness, but the drive modes are what you'll interact with the most. So this car does have up to 1100 horsepower. It's just slightly slower than the Plaid Model S, and it feels almost as fast. But for drive modes, you have Smooth, Swift, or Sprint, and you can feel a big difference between them. Regenerative braking changes, the power changes overall, and Smooth is obviously going to be the smoothest ride you can get, and it's probably optimizing for range, versus Sprint is definitely optimizing for performance, and it even tells you Sprint mode enables maximum power and torque. It is recommended to be used only by skilled advanced drivers under suitable driving conditions with Lucid specification summer tires installed. So you press confirm to enter that mode each and every time, versus you could do Swift, which is also fast but not as crazy, and then again Smooth is kind of your daily driver mode. So we'll drive in just a second here, but I want to demonstrate the cameras because that is very impressive. If I go into reverse right here, we have our backup camera here, but we also have this overhead view, which you can interact with if you want. You can move all around the car, click to different camera angles to see different views. It's pretty impressive and definitely very helpful. I'm not sure when I'm backing up how much I'd be scrolling around like this, but just having that overhead view as well as the rear camera view is really nice. I also noticed right here, you can also zoom in on the rear camera. So if there's something on the ground that you're really trying to avoid, you can just press that and go into a 2x or zoom out. And you can also change cameras. You can change to the front camera and look forward and also do the same 2x, which is very nice to have. So all of this is very helpful, and you can bring this up if you want to, or you can press these X's to just close them out. Before we go any further, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Charity Stars. We've partnered with Charity Stars to give you a chance to win a 2022 Tesla Model S Plaid. Charity Stars is a groundbreaking fundraising platform that helps raise money for charitable causes. Donations for this sweepstakes will benefit One Tree Planted, a charity who is fighting deforestation and helping the environment by planting trees around the world. This charity is a great opportunity to help the planet by offsetting your carbon footprint, on top of giving you a chance to win a record-breaking electric vehicle. The Tesla Model S Plaid, as you already know, is the world's fastest accelerating production vehicle with a 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds and a top speed of 200 miles per hour. With an EPA range of over 390 miles, a 22-speaker premium audio system, and a spacious interior, you can take it to the racetrack or on a family road trip. To enter for your chance to win this Tesla Model S Plaid, visit CharityStars.com/Ryan Shaw and use the code Ryan Shaw at checkout to get 1,000 free entries on your purchase. Again, that's CharityStars.com/Ryan Shaw and use the code Ryan Shaw for 1,000 free entries on your purchase. So this car does have a few more physical controls than the average electric car coming out these days. Over here you have 2 different scroll wheels, and this one is controlling volume. This one over here in the center is controlling volume as well. You also have temperature controls here that are physical and interact with the screen, or on screen you could instead just use the screen, but you have both options, a physical control that is adjusting that, or I could adjust it on screen if I prefer that. Then this is volume, this is volume. You have track next and previous, voice command, and then different settings for Dream Drive right here. Then your normal drive stocks that you're used to in a Tesla or most modern electric vehicles. The other thing to notice is your overall view. It's kind of like a Model X here, but the visors are up here. On a Model X, they hang out right here and you bring them out when you need them, but this is always right here, and then you can move it to the side if you want. So you have this pretty much unobstructed view, incredible glass roof, but going above you, it does feel a little more narrow because of all this, and the fact that the visor is right here. It's definitely a cool panoramic view, and it feels very spacious and open in here. So to go into drive, I'm just gonna press down on the drive stalk and let's go for it. What I've noticed right away driving this car is that you can hear it a little more than a Tesla. You can hear the motors spinning up, which I actually think is pretty cool. It has a really cool sound. I can also notice some things like a Plaid Model S that are pretty similar. I have a Plaid Model S and I've noticed quite a few creaks and rattles in that thing, and just doesn't quite feel like it's built like a $130,000 vehicle. And a lot of ways this feels like an upgrade from that car as far as luxury. But like right now, the steering wheel is pretty creaky when I'm moving it, and there's various creaks around the car that I'm hearing. So it's not 100% perfect. It's not like it's this massive improvement on Tesla's build quality overall. There's still stuff that feels kind of loose and still stuff that's creaking, but it has that luxury feel to it, and there's tons of luxury features. So I'm in smooth right here. I'll go back to my driving modes. And even this is pretty punchy. It's faster than definitely a standard range Tesla Model 3 would be. Oh, that was a good stop. So I'm on smooth. I'm just gonna go for it right now. Let's see. Yeah, see, that is not very limited at all. For most people, that is plenty of power and faster than any car that they would drive. Very impressive, but it's not quite as punchy as this car can do. It's very smooth. It's only using some of the power, and it's optimizing for the best ride. Day to day, that's plenty of power that you would need driving, and the regen braking is really easy to get used to. I haven't touched the brake yet on this entire drive. The instrument cluster up here is giving us a lot of great info, and I gotta admit, I do like having an instrument cluster. Once I experienced it in the Plaid Model S for real, after actually owning that for some time, I prefer it to just having one center screen, and they're definitely taking advantage of that in the Lucid Air here. The center, right above the speedometer, has a really cool visualization that's showing you when you're using power versus when you let off and you're actually charging. It says charge and power, and that's because it's using regenerative braking to put power back into the battery. The other info is your odometer, how far you've driven since your last charge, which drive mode you're in, and the speed limit. So now I'm gonna try out Swift. Less regen as well, less intense at least. It's still using regen and it's telling me that it's charging right now, but it's definitely not as intense. So now I'm just gonna go for it a little more. Yeah, that's more power for sure in Swift. Overall, this is a great vehicle. It feels like all the best pieces that you want in an electric car are in this, and then everyone's gonna have their preferences as to how much physical buttons they want, how many truly luxury features they want, and all that stuff. So this is gonna appeal to a certain crowd and have the same great driving that you get in a Tesla. Maybe the Model S Plaid is for someone who doesn't want as much stuff going on and they want the simplicity and the yoke steering wheel, versus this is for someone who's like, I don't wanna have to navigate to a menu to change the temperature, I just want a button right here. Another thing that I've noticed that's pretty handy is that Tesla has recently added cameras that pop up on the main screen, and it feels like very much something that they added later, which it actually is. When you put on your turn signal, it will show you the blind spot camera. It's super useful to have, but this will do it, and it does it in a really great way, integrated into the instrument cluster. If I turn my right blinker on here, it comes up here. It is a slight bit delayed, I have noticed that. So if I change to left, let's see how long it takes. And there it is. So a little bit delayed, but it shouldn't be a problem really, because you shouldn't be just signaling at the last second anyway. But it's definitely nice to have them placed on the instrument cluster. I wish they would do that in the Model S. So now I'm gonna pull out onto a main road, and I'm actually gonna switch into Sprint. All right, here we go, from 0. Woo! Oh. Woo! That is very similar to the Plaid Model S. My adrenaline is rushing and everything, but my stomach didn't drop quite as hard. It's a little more comfortable, actually. Just as unnecessary, but incredibly fun. Here we go. Woo! Whew. That was interesting. I did proper launch control where I pressed the brake and the pedal, and it wasn't as punchy at the beginning. It didn't like hurt. Felt like it eased up a little bit. I'm curious about what the difference is there. We'll do another launch off of this light, but this time I will do it myself. No launch control. Woo! Yeah, there's more punch when you do it that way. Ooh, so that's great. Now I'm curious. I'm already going in the 50s right now. Let's see if I just... Oh, yep, that is so much like the Plaid. That is great. That's really awesome to see this from a different brand, different engineers, everything. Really makes me excited about the future of electric cars. Not everyone, or hardly anyone, honestly, needs speed like that, but the fact that multiple companies are shipping cars that are fully electric, that are delivering this performance it's very exciting. Yeah, I'm starting to learn how to use the blind spot camera, and it's very useful. Compared to what I'm used to, I kind of have to add an extra look down to a screen over here, and here it's just kind of like right in my view. The steering wheel though is very creaky. I'm not used to that, and it's plastic creakiness. So I'm gonna listen right now to some music. I'm gonna turn it up loud. Obviously I can't play this, but I will give a facial expression reaction to what the sound system is like. And I'm a musician, I'm very picky about how music sounds, so let's give it a try. So for me, this screen's a little far to reach actually. I'd rather the play controls were like down here or something, but I don't think I can get them down there. Let's see. No, not that I know of. It's handy to have them separated from this screen, but it is a little bit of a reach, at least how I'm positioned, so maybe I would just position myself a little closer since that screen is a good like 10 inches away from where my hands are on the wheel. As far as the sound system, I don't want to mess with his EQ and everything, but it was decent. It wasn't like insane. Could also be Spotify streaming, could also be this particular song's mix. Someone was just checking out the car and gave me a thumbs up, and it's nice to pretend like this is my car and I own a Lucid Air. So as far as ride quality in this car, it's actually using a coil suspension instead of an air suspension like Tesla does in the Model S. And it feels great. It feels incredibly smooth. I'm actually in sprint mode right now. I went over a pretty intense bump not too long ago. It felt really smooth, pretty similar to what an air suspension can provide. So I definitely wouldn't look at the fact that this doesn't have an air suspension as a negative. The suspension feels really great ride quality. The only thing is if you're going over a really steep driveway, you can't raise it or anything. Now, I only had a few hours with the Lucid Air, so I didn't have enough time to get used to certain features that you would get used to over time, but I was able to put it through the normal stuff I would do for any car review, and this car delivers. It's an absolutely incredibly made electric car, and it gets the electric part incredibly right. As far as your core day-to-day driving, this drives just as good as the best electric cars out there. Then in some ways it drives better. There is no air suspension in the Lucid Air, but it still feels incredibly smooth. Then the speed is on another level. It's just slightly less stomach dropping than a Plaid Model S, but it absolutely delivers speed that is unbelievable and better than all but one car on the road. Handling felt great, and you wouldn't guess that this is a new car from a brand new company. When driving though, there were some quirks that made the $170,000 price tag feel a bit high. Certain panels are loose, the steering wheel had a very plastic creaking sound, and there were a few rattles. This is the stuff that Tesla gets flack for all the time since they sell premium priced cars, but they are also present on this Lucid after a few thousand miles. At this point, I kind of just expect it from new cars from new companies and pay more attention to the way it drives and how it is to use the software on screen, but for some, those things will be a deal breaker. The biggest thing that needs improvement in the Lucid at this point is software. At one point, we locked the car, walked away for a minute, and when I came back, the car had gone into deep sleep. It took about a full minute, if not longer, for the screens to actually turn back on and be usable. That's a significant amount of time and definitely a downside of such a software approach if this is always present. The longest I've waited for software to initialize in a Tesla, also very software focused, is about 15 seconds. On screen though, I like the way that Lucid has implemented multiple screens, but it takes some getting used to. I didn't get used to it in one day, which is expected, but certain things were just slow. Scrolling around the maps was choppy, and the refresh rate and loading speeds all over the car just took too much time. I want to tap into music and always have it instantly available, but sometimes it truly felt like I was launching a professional program on a desktop. This was a rare occurrence, and once it had initialized, it works pretty well, but it still needs improvement. Luckily, Lucid can improve this over time, and they plan to with over-the-air software updates. That's something that still isn't very common in most vehicles, but Lucid is shipping their cars with. As far as charging, when you buy a Lucid, they include 3 years of unlimited charging from Electrify America. Then you would charge at home or use any third-party chargers. There isn't a supercharger network or something like that to rely on yet, so third-party options aren't as secure, but you have an insane amount of range, so most road trips should be fairly easy in this car. For the electric vehicle experience, range, performance, ride quality, and handling, the Lucid Air absolutely delivers. It's incredibly fun to drive and feels like a luxury car. The luxury features like massage seats, the sunshades on windows, rear screen for climate controls, and panoramic roof really set this car apart and help justify its price tag. The place where you can tell it's a new company is in software, and I very much look forward to seeing improvements in that area with over-the-air updates from Lucid. For me, the most exciting part of this car, though, is that there are now multiple new companies not affiliated with with legacy automakers making incredibly compelling electric cars. There are multiple electric sedans with performance better than any gas vehicle, and now there is a luxury electric sedan with a range over 500 miles. Lucid is just getting started, and I'm very excited to see what the future holds for them. They have plans for a far cheaper version of this car, the Lucid Air, from $87,000, still with a 406-mile range, so I'm excited to see them expand this car. Big thanks again to John Rettinger for sharing his Lucid Air with us, and you can check out his full review of this car linked below. In the meantime, if you want to see my full review of the Plaid Model S, likely the closest competitor to the Lucid Air, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.